To our scholars, parents, and our community partners, thank you for tuning in to the newest CrosbyCast, recorded at the Goodwill Career Center in Statesville, North Carolina. I'm your host, W.H. Hayes, and I'm joined today by Deland J. Meyer, Sr., the Emeritus Professor of the College of Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources at Prairie View A&M University. How are you today?
I'm just fine, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you about the opportunities in college.
So for our listeners, go ahead and kind of introduce you and your story. What have you done in the past, and what are you doing now?
Okay. I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri. I attended University of Missouri at Kansas City as an undergraduate in biology. I had desires to go off to college, but unfortunately I didn't have the resources to do so. So I stayed home and went to school, and actually it was a good idea and a good thing that I did. Originally had planned to be to go into medical school and made a pivot given what I had learned being in college and went into agriculture. I became majored in food science and went to Iowa State University and got my master's and Ph.D. And from there I went to work at the Pillsbury Company, developing different kinds of food products. Some that your listeners might know something about. For example, I was one of the first scientists in the 80s to work on microwave popcorn. Developed 2 flavors of toasted strudel, worked on Totino's pizza, Gino's pizza roll, and so forth. And after 5 years, I went back to the university, back to Iowa State, became a faculty member, where I stayed there for 18 years. Then I went to North Dakota State University, where I was a faculty member there, stayed there for 8 years, and then finally ended up my career at Prairie View A&M University. I stayed there 5 years, and I retired in 2020. And so had different experiences at land-grant universities and worked with a number of students over the years. Hopefully I can share some of my experiences to help them as they consider going to college.
And as you kind of think about how people would go to college, what are some lessons throughout your academic career and your professional career that you learned that you'd want to pass down to someone who's wanting to possibly follow in your footsteps?
Going to college is obviously the first thing you want to think about is, why do you want to go to college? And if you strip away all the other activities and things that can happen at college, you're there to get a job. You're there to develop yourself so that you can have a career. And so over the years, I've met many students who have had challenges in college. Some have been more successful than others. Many of them understanding what major they wanted to have. Some of them may had to make adjustments as far as going to college and studying and what it entailed. But there were, if I may, there were 4 things I found that students who really did very well at universities and really leveraged their experience, they did 4 things. The first thing is that they understood the academics, that they had to get good grades. And universities, many of them have support systems to help you get good grades. And some students feel, I guess their own pride or whatever, feel as though, well, I don't need a tutor, I don't need help. That's not a wise thing to do. Try to get as much support as you can to get the best grades as you can, because ultimately, when you're going out, getting a job, going to graduate school, professional school, and so forth, the GPA is the first thing they're going to look at. The second thing I found was that students who did that developed leadership skills. Many organizations want you to be leaders. They don't want somebody who just knows information. And as many of your listeners, I'm sure know, computers can do that. Now with AI, even more so. So they're looking for people who can lead, who can provide new information to their organizations. And so they became leaders. They found ways to develop their leadership skills at the university and different organizations and so forth. The third thing they did was they got internships. They were able to learn, to apply what they learned in the classroom to actual work experiences, working at companies, different organizations, some right on campus, where they could actually show that they could use the skills that they learned. And the fourth one was something I learned in my last few years of being on campus, and that is global. We're in a global world now. The world is more diverse, and you've got to understand that people think differently, they view things differently, and as you're working with them, you've got to have at least some appreciation for those differences. And if you don't, you're going to have a hard time working in organizations, particularly those major organizations that are global. And so I really encourage students to get a global experience, either study abroad or something even on campus, but make sure that you understand working with diverse peoples, diverse cultures, so that you can really expand yourself professionally.
And for someone who is possibly trying to look into beginning the college journey, beginning to step into the college application process, what advice would you give them?
Learn the university. You know, one thing that students have now that I like to always say, back in the dark ages, back when I was planning to go to college, is that the information that's available to students now is much more than what we had. All we had was like university catalogs and things like that. Now you have the internet. You can look at universities. You can see what those universities have to offer, the majors, the programs, and things like that. So I would really take the time to look at the universities that you're considering and make sure that you understand what those universities are, what their strengths are, and how you could fit into that university. So I would say that's one. The second thing, too, is that as you look at it, as you're going to apply, many of them require applications and letters of application. Think about how you're going to present yourself to that university. And put in those things, what major do you want to be in? Why do you want to go to that university? What's important to you? That's very important. The other thing I would find, too, is that students have asked me over the years, what have you found to be the one thing that students tend to be a predictor of success? And what I found over the years is that students who can overcome different obstacles in their life seem to do better. And so what I would suggest is that those students, when they put those applications together, talk about what you've overcome. What challenges have you faced? What things that you had that things didn't go well? Because in life, and I guarantee you at the university, everything may not go well. But is that going to deter you? Is that going to stop you? But if you can tell them clearly in your letter of application, here's some things that I've overcome, here's some things that I have done, even when things didn't go well, I was able to overcome those things and still progress the way I wanted to. I think the universities look at that very favorably when they look at students to come to the university.
And when it comes to how the community gets involved with someone who wants to go to college, what advice would you give to a community that's hoping to support a young person in their journey to getting to college?
I would say the community needs to, if they could, help them to find mentors for them. If they want to be, for example, they want to go to medical school, see if the community could find a doctor or nurse or lawyer or someone in the community to sit down and talk with them and say, why do you want to do this? Do you know what it's going to take for you to do this? I think the community would be very helpful in that regard into helping them, as well as those individuals, of course, having been to college. They can share their experiences, some things that they went through, the things that having gone to universities and having worked there, I can share some experiences that, that old adage, if I knew then what I know now. Share that with those students. Let them know the challenges that they're going to face and how to overcome some of those things. And I think students would appreciate that, those who are planning to go to college, and can help them make some of their decisions of things they want to do. And I think that the students would find that very helpful.
And taking a bit of a pivot here, you are an expert in your field in food science. How would you say that the rise of AI might impact people who are going into that field as they graduate college?
AI is changing things. I'm just amazed at going to a Chat GPT or some of these and the information that's available. It's just astounding what you can do with it. The key that in my field is that individuals are going to have to be able to take that information and use it, and to critically think how to use the information that they have. You can become overwhelmed with the amount of information out there. The question is, how do you use it? How do you use it to accomplish what you're trying to do? And so students, as they think about going to universities, and in my field or any other field, how can you critically think? How can you use this information that you have to accomplish what you're trying to do? And quite frankly, everybody doesn't have that skill. Everybody's not as good at it. What does that mean to you? What does that information mean to you? And how does it make you more efficient at what you do? So I would really encourage them to critically think. The other thing I've been reading is that industries are now looking for not only individuals who have technical skills, but those soft skills. Can you speak to others? Can you communicate? Can you share with others? Can you build teams? Those are the kinds of things that AI, at least right now, can't do. So they're looking for individuals who can do that, who can use that and leverage that technology to the best of their organization and what they want to do.
I like how you put it, how having critical thinking and then also developing those soft skills. What are some ways that you would recommend a potential college applicant or an incoming college student to try and elevate their skills in that aspect?
I would say one thing to do would be able to, if you can take information and distill it into into key points. If you get a report from ChatGPT about information, can you distill that and say, here are the key points that this information this is giving me, and here's how it applies? Can you do that? Can you communicate to them if someone says, you just wanted to cheat ChatGPT, you got this information, what does this mean to me? Can you clearly articulate that to them? Those communication skills are very important. Also listening. Can you hear what the other person is saying? Something I've had to work on is that you have your own idea of what you want to do, and sometimes you don't think or listen to what the other person is saying. You got to be able to develop that and appreciate what they're trying to say, not to necessarily push your agenda, but understand that, okay, let's think about what both of us are saying and how can we move this thing together. Those kinds of skills. So some writing, speaking, and just understanding and building of community within an organization, I think is very, very important.
If it were to be your ideal kind of college to run, what do you think you would try to emphasize if you were to design a curriculum?
Well, I mentioned before those four things, making sure that students get academic support, make sure they get opportunities for leadership, and understanding what leadership is. Leadership, it doesn't mean I was the president of an organization. That doesn't mean anything to them. What does that mean as far as how did you make a difference? That's what leadership is to me. So I would give those students those opportunities. I would point them out. One thing students don't think about is joining student organizations. If you're going to be, say, in engineering, there's an electrical engineering student organization. Food science, there's a food science student organization. Get in those organizations, and I would encourage students to do that. The other thing I would do is, again, internships. I would try to make sure that I would bring organizations and companies to my campus and say, give these students those experiences, even if it can't be a whole semester. Give them 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to help them understand, and bring people to my university and talk to my students and tell them, here's what's going on, here's what's changing, so that when they get out into the world, it's not a shock to them that these things are happening. And then again, to give them those global experiences as well. I think that's very important. The other thing I would do is find out the importance of certifications. Many students don't understand now that in addition to the degree, companies want certifications. They want to be certifications, those things that in their mind demonstrate the student understands that particular area. In my field, there's a food science certificate, if you will. There's a food safety certificate. And so look at those certifications. I would build that into my curriculum and have students. In fact, we did that at the universities I worked at. In addition to the degrees they got, we built in certifications where the students, in fact, it became part of their degree, that they could take a certification class. And so they'd have that degree in addition to certifications that they could show that employer. And that really impressed them.
And just to kind of wrap up, when it comes to thinking about everything you've done, everything that you're up to now, is there anything that you'd like to celebrate and be thankful for?
Those mentors, those persons who helped me. They didn't have to, but yet they took the time to work with me, to point me the way. They were good enough to tell me what I was doing right. They told me what I was doing wrong. They were very honest with me, and I appreciated that honesty. And sometimes it wasn't easy to take, but I appreciated that and understood that they would also be wise enough to say, I'm your mentor now, but I can't mentor you now. You need somebody else. You need someone else to help you along the way. So I really celebrate or thank those persons who helped me. I appreciate the opportunities that I received. I heard a statement when someone made, and I think it's very true. They said, talent is equally distributed, but opportunities are not. Everyone doesn't get those opportunities. And those opportunities that came to me, I took them. I didn't pass them off and go, well, I'll do that later. No, that's not true. The opportunities that I got, I took advantage of them, and some worked well, some didn't, but that's okay. But so any opportunity that a student gets, take it. Don't just pass it off. You may not get that opportunity again. So any experiences and opportunities you have, those things are great. And also the people who took a chance on me. Young, I was a first generation student. They didn't have to accept me into their programs. They didn't have to give me the chance to do things, but they did. And I appreciated that. And the things that I did. And One thing that I do now is I want to pay it forward, if you will. I want to go back now and help students like that are going to be in this program, to help them understand the opportunities that's available to them and help mentor them. Pay back those who helped me by helping them. And I think all of us should do that. So those are things that I think about and celebrate, and hope that I can make a difference in someone else's life as they made in mine.
Deland J. Meyer, Sr., thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.